Welcome, listeners, to today's edition of the Morning 4 podcast. I'm your host, Katie Parsons, and here's what we do here. We spend a few minutes of each weekday morning dwelling on the positive and prepping ourselves for the rest of the day. I share a few fun facts, a feel-good news story, and an affirmation with my listeners, and hopefully they make you smile, feel confident, or just have a chance to escape to something fun for a few minutes. There are a lot of ways to listen to the Morning 4. You can subscribe on iTunes, Google Play, or Spotify. You can head to the Morning 4 Podcast's YouTube channel. You can sign up for my text alerts by texting podcast to 57838, or you can just do it the old-fashioned way and head to morning4.com. Thanks for making me and this podcast part of your morning routine. So let's get this Tuesday started with
Number 1.
Well, today is apparently Wear Pajamas to Work Day, or as those of us who work from home call it, a normal Tuesday. I'm a pretty early riser, and I get up to work out most days before dawn. I get my kids to school, I come home, I shower, and then I put on pajamas, most days. I read some advice when I first started working from home that said if you want to be successful in that type of setup, you should treat your work day at home just like you would if you were going into an office, and that includes getting dressed in normal clothes. Well, all due respect to the freelance from home writer who probably wrote that, but PJs at home is a perk, and I intend to cash in on it as much as humanly possible. For those of you who typically wear normal clothes to a normal office atmosphere, you may want to check with your boss first before busting this PJs to work move. Or just use this podcast as your free ticket. You can say that I said it was okay.
Number 2.
If you listened to Monday's podcast, you heard me talk about interesting and what some might call odd Easter traditions from around the world. There are so many that there wasn't enough time in a single podcast to list them all. So here are a few more. If you celebrate Easter in Finland, you may be confused about what holiday you are actually celebrating. That's because Finnish children dress as witches, yes, witches, for Easter, and wander the streets in search of treats. It kind of sounds like an American Halloween. It is similar, but the reason it happens on Easter is because of a belief that witches fly and cavort with Satan around Easter time. It's also believed that bonfires scare them away, so I don't know what to make of all that. But here's another interesting Easter tradition. Chocolate is not popular or plentiful in Papua New Guinea, so instead of chocolate bunnies, Easter trees at the front of churches are decorated with sticks of tobacco and cigarettes. These are handed out after the service. I bet I can find a few more quirky Easter traditions from around the globe, so stay tuned the rest of this week.
Number 3.
Today's feel-good news story is sourced from WWSB ABC 7. Well, I love a good love letter and a good story about them. 54-year-old Carol Cutler recently learned about her parents' young love for each other. Her parents, who died about a year ago just a few months apart, were always just parents and then grandparents to Carol. But recently, with help from the DNA website Ancestry.com, a stranger reached out to Carol with a real gift. 65 love letters that her father had sent to her mother in the 1950s when he was stationed in Japan with the Army and she was in America attending nursing school. The letters opened up a part of Carol's parents' lives that she says she never knew existed, and she treasures the handwritten messages. Bonnie Hanlon, who found the letters in a box inside an antique store, used Ancestry.com to look up the family. Of the kindness, Carol said, "I'm a teacher, and I'm always telling my students, acts of kindness, and this is the ultimate act of kindness."
Number 4.
It's time to set our intentions for today with our affirmation. Repeat after me. I acknowledge that my attitude is within my control. Today, I will let that guide my actions. Well, thank you for listening to the podcast. I'll see you back here again tomorrow.